What up? It's your boy Dick Incredible, man. And yes, I am back at it again. And I apologize for being all kinds of late, man. I was dealing with family stuff. The holidays started rolling in. Then I started feeling a little bad again. There's a lot of stuff was on my plate, man. I had to do some extra graphic work. I do a little freelance graphic work on the side. Like a lot of stuff had just really just started to pile up on my plate. And I got a little behind yet again, man. But this is 911 Season 5, Episode 9. Past is Prologue. And I was going to say it was just a fun episode, but it was fun and a little heartfelt at the same time. Let's talk about it.
Yo, fight until you make it, yo, don't think it, no, just take it. Don't wait for someone to break it, take control, then don't just fake it. Hey, you can make it happen, you just gotta take some action. Take the ship and be the captain.
Like I mentioned, this episode was a little bit of fun, but it was also a little heartfelt as well. And in true 911 fashion, we started off with a particular case with something random happening. And just so happens it's an oil well sprung up in the middle of the street. And we get introduced to this chick that's trying to get her license, and she's a little bit quirky, but we see that her and the DMV lady kind of hit it off after she saves her. Like, it was just a fun thing to kind of just get you enticed into the episode. And then as we progress, all the other stuff just kind of just fell. And then it was a nice episode for me, man. I really enjoyed it. And then we had those heartfelt moments, like well, not heartfelt. This was a fun moment. When May walked in on Athena and Bobby, and Athena's in the turnout gear, and Bobby's got the got the apron on but no underwear. It was fun. That was fun. And May was like, you know what? I'm gonna change my address, with my mail, so I don't have to come over here and see. It was so fun. Then we have everybody in the fire truck talking about it. It was a nice, fun episode. But then we get to the more serious parts where we're dealing with the casino robbery that took place in 1987, and Bobby and Athena, spicing up their relationship and also trying to solve that particular case. We see that I feel like Buck really matured a lot this season. Like, we really get to see all the maturity Buck has gone through, and this episode just really highlights that because of all the stuff that he's dealing with Taylor. Now, Buck starts talking to everyone about his relationship with Taylor, and he feels like he's going to be broken up. And of course, Ravi didn't know, and he's mentioning that, well, hey man, all my girlfriends, they just move and leave me. Like, they go to the airport and they just gone, and that's it. And Ravi, like, periodically, like, they leave you. It was fun, but we see that Buck is on a serious note because we know that he loves Taylor. He's really fallen in love with Taylor so heavy, and he doesn't want to lose her, and he fears that's what's happening, but everybody else is trying to constantly tell him, talk to her about it. And Bobby gave him some sound advice, because Buck never really acknowledges that he's in a relationship. He just randomly starts dating these women, and then boom, bam, he's in a relationship, but it's never really signaled or solidified. And then next thing you know, it just kind of fizzles out. And Bobby gave him some real advice, and that allowed him to talk to Taylor. And this is where the heartfelt moments kind of come in. It is when him talking to Taylor, we realized that what was bothering her in the past couple episodes is her father's in prison for supposedly killing her mother, which was also dubbed a suicide. So she doesn't really know, because his parole is coming up, and he wants her to speak on his behalf, and she doesn't really know which way to go because she don't really know the truth. There's only two people that know the truth, and one of them is dead, and her father's not going to tell her the truth. So she's having a hard time dealing with this, and she didn't want Buck to really just be involved in it because it's something she has to deal with. But Buck standing up, talking about his problems with the whole crew, and even in that segment where we see that Hen is kind of dealing with her whole little story going on with her mom and this Oliver dude, which was a nice little story within itself. I'll talk about that later. But we see that Buck was even talking to them about what's going on with him and Taylor, but he never gave them specifics, like telling that, her father's in prison and stuff. And I was like, that's speaking levels for Buck. And the fact that he even went to Oklahoma to be there for her, even after she asked him not to go, but he went anyway just to be there for her, that's speaking volumes for Buck. I feel like all of the stuff that's going on with Maddie and everything that has happened to Buck and previous relationships and everything, it's finally maturing him, and he can finally see things just a little bit clearer, if you will. And even at the end of the episode, when him and Taylor are just being there for each other, and then like it kind of gets to like the happy go sappy music going on and everything, and then the upbeat music, and she tells him that she loves him. So like now we're getting into that full relationship territory with Buck and Taylor, and I feel like that's such a great thing, and it's a wonderful thing for Buck. Wasn't too much stuff going on with Eddie this episode, and all the stuff with Bobby and Athena, you know, kind of revolved around that case, and that goes to Hen and her mother situation, where we see that the second case this episode takes place where this old man had kind of got shocked by a car, like a car battery jumper starter kit thing or whatever, and he kind of got shocked and he bumped his head, and dude finds out that Hen is his old girlfriend, mistress, but no, because he's not married. Anyway, whatever they were to each other, she's Hen's daughter. And we find out the whole overall story being that, you know, Hen's mother cheated on her father with him. Now, he's not Hen's father, but she cheated on him because, you know, Hen's father was never really in the picture. He was never really there. And she never really had a loving relationship with him, but she stuck it out because she didn't want to take her child's father from her, which being Hen. And I feel like that's a lot of situations in a lot of relationships. People tend to stick it out for the children, and I feel like that's a good thing, but like I feel like you shouldn't ruin your happiness to make your kids happy, because then you end up just being miserable, although your kids may be happy. It's a weird, you know, segment to really deal with, but and long story short, like Hen didn't even really get a happy childhood with her father because he was never really there. So the price that she paid was so heavy, but at the end of the episode, we see that Hen kind of kept pushing for it, allowed her to have that relationship with the Oliver dude. Whether they end up together or not, or just have fun with each other, they grown, they do what they want to do. And we get to see that, and at the end of the day, she rode off into the little sunset with dude. And I felt like that was a nice thing. This episode wasn't much going on. I feel like the emphasis of everything was wrapped around Hen and the whole Buck segment, and I feel like those two things were what really highlighted this episode. Like I said, it was just a simple, fun episode, but then it had a couple heartfelt moments. Overall, that's everything. Like, it wasn't a bad episode, but it wasn't much to do with this episode. But I feel like what I got out of it mostly was the fact that we get to see Buck growing up just a little bit, and I think that really speaks volumes for Buck's character and his relationship with Taylor, man. This your boy, Dick Incredible. Don't forget to smash the like button until you can't smash it anymore. Comment down below, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them and subscribe, but only if you really want to, man. Peace out.
I cannot complain because today, I'm doing my thing.